And now, coming to you live from an undisclosed location somewhere in the Ozark Mountains, it's Spooky Talk Show with Josh the Devil. And now, here he is, Josh the Devil.
Hey, where are we? We're over here. Hey, let me get up close and personal with you guys. Hey, how's everybody doing tonight? We're here in the drum set studio. It's hard to tell. Let's see, well, that's no good. Well, we're just going to have to go with it. Hey, I'm Josh the Devil. Welcome to Spooky Talk Show. This is a very special night. We've got the Tales from Guitar Center. It's not as spooky as it sounds, probably, but regardless, we're going to tell some fun tales about working at Guitar Center with some of my cohorts, and you're going to learn all of those things that you probably didn't really want to know about Guitar Center and working there, and probably the stuff that you guessed was already true. You just didn't have any proof. The dogs know what's up. They know this shit's going down, so you better buckle up, because, you probably shouldn't buckle up. This is the kind of show where you should unbuckle. You should unbuckle and sit on your couch and eat some Cheetos, and yeah, don't buckle. Why would there be something to buckle on your couch? That doesn't even make any sense. Come on, guys. Use your brain. Head over to our Patreon page, patreon.com/spookytalkshow. And if we get a couple more patrons here within the next little bit, we're going to start adding a live monthly stream with Q&A and all sorts of other stuff where Wyatt and I will do karaoke on demand and who knows what else. I've also got a ton of stuff I want to give away. And so that's the best way for me to do it, because then I can get names and addresses very easily and send you guys all sorts of awesome stuff. Plus, there's all kinds of bonus content up there. Casey Orr from Gwar, the bass player, Beefcake the Mighty. Yeah, there's a whole extra 20 minutes of him on there, so you should go and check that out because it's pretty good. I think we got a bonus of Dave Hill when Dave Hill was on the program. Dave's like me, just won't shut up, and so I got at least an extra 20 minutes of him on there, so go over there and take a look if you get a chance. We've also got a Teespring site, and you can use code SPOOKY over on thepropbasement.com to save 10%. And okay, I think that's it. I think I'm done with my spiel. Okay, it's hard to tell. I'm sitting at a drum set, and I want to play it. I don't know how to play the drums though, so there we go. You can sort of. No, that doesn't help. These are terrible camera angles, Josh. What are you doing? I don't know. Here we'll go. Cymbal cam. Is that something? No, it's not. Okay, well, I didn't have a lot of time to set this up. Just like a week, and a week's not a lot of time. So, we'll go back down here. I don't know, you guys. Okay, well, we do have some jokes. We got a new writer, Kevin Smith. He's been cranking some jokes out for us. And if you're watching this and you're a comedy writer, you fancy yourself a comedy writer, and you think, hey, I could do something on there. I could write some jokes. I could videotape myself with a cell phone doing something stupid. Send it to us. We'll probably use it. And if it's really good and we're going to use it, we'll probably even pay you for it. How about them apples? So there you go. I think that's it. I'm juggling a bunch of weird stuff here. I don't have my desk. That's what it is. I feel naked without my desk. But here we are. We do have some good possible shows coming up in the future. We got a big special Christmas show coming up with some special musicians that I've lined up that in my mind. And in my mind, it's going to be a really good show. So come to the show in my mind, and it will be. We're going to jump over to the news, and nothing's all queued up right at all because that's how things are. And where's the... Hey, there we go. Hey, now you can tell I'm behind a drum set. Looky there. Okay, well, just took me pushing the right combination of buttons. So first up, it was a weird... Look, I'm going to take... You've been distracted by that. I'm sorry. It was a weird week for news this week. Which is kind of nice considering Thanksgiving is usually one of the lamest weeks in the news, but we've got some fun stuff for you guys and some not so fun stuff. The biggest and probably most shocking news of this week, of course, was Guitar Center. The 61-year-old business announced this week that due to the pandemic, it's accrued $1.3 billion in debt and has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. This comes as a huge shock and disappointment for musicians looking for some place to play Sweet Child of Mine in front of someone. And Guitar Center said that all 510 of their stores will remain open through the holidays and that gift cards will still be honored. However, their strict no Stairway to Heaven policy will remain in place. Now, I'm here to tell you that there is no Stairway to Heaven policy, and if you come in and start playing it, no one's going to stop you, unfortunately. I wish they would. It's also a very common myth that Stairway to Heaven is the most common played song in a store by guitarists. No, it is Sweet Child of Mine. As far as I know, it's Sweet Child of Mine. I'd say a close second runner-up might be Inner Sandman. I would say Inner Sandman, close second. But Sweet Child of Mine, that lick, that's what dudes come in and play. That's what they think is their mating call, and other like they think they'll come in and I'm going off on a tangent. And they play Sweet Child of Mine just right, and a bass player from a band will come over and go, "Hey, bro, sweet licks, we're looking for a lead guitar player in our band, bro. You're just the dude." And he's like, "I knew it. It worked, man." But yeah, so that's how it goes. That's how it goes. My Guitar Center buddies are dying because they've seen that exact scenario not play out. What else? Well, it's like I said, it was a weird week. Manson family member, and that's not Marilyn Manson kids. This is Charles Manson. Leslie Van Houten appealed for parole again this week. Van Houten was asked if she could define the word insanity, to which she calmly replied, "Insanity is an act of repeating the same action multiple times and expecting a different result." After a good laugh, the parole board replied, "That is correct, and we'll see you next year." There's the rim shot because my computer is sitting on the snare drum. Yes, I screwed up that bad. I'm sitting behind a drum set. I have sticks. I can't play the rim shot. I guess I could. Okay. All right. Oh, okay. All right. Okay. All right. What else is going on over in sports, which is rare for a spooky talk show? Iron Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr. The boxing match that would have been awesome 20 years ago. It took place here in 2020 and ended as one would expect. Lame. What would have once been a grueling battle between two master giant pugilists wound up it just ended in a draw and a hug between two frighteningly large senior citizens, honestly. Both fighters were awarded a participation ribbon and a lifetime supply of Aspercream. And the MASH audience laughs. Yes, they do. Well, shit the bed. Look who's back in the news again. It's Amber Heard. She made headlines again this week as the petition to have her removed from Aquaman 2 has reached an astonishing 1.5 million signatures. Holy shit. Why is that astonishing? I almost said astoundishing, which is a new term I've coined. Well, I'll tell you why it's astoundishing. That's because that's about 3 times the amount of people who actually saw Aquaman 1. So, it's, Boo! Are you booing Aquaman 1? I think they're booing Aquaman 1. That's okay. You can boo Aquaman 1. And, the Tom is in the way. I can't even read the 5th joke. Let's see. There we go. Lastly, a little Thanksgiving news. It's a Thanksgiving tradition. The President of the United States he pardoned a turkey from being cooked this week. And this will mark the last turkey that the President will be pardoning before the end of his term. And he went on. It was weird. He was really oddly specific as to which turkey that he was going to pardon. And the president went on to say he'd never met a turkey before, but that he wished her well. And this is the part where the graphic comes up, and it's a turkey body, but it's that Ghislaine Maxwell's face, right? But this is Spooky Talk Show, so you just have to close your eyes and imagine it, all right? Okay, all right. What would Hacksaw Jim Duggan say? He'd probably agree. He'd probably just agree and say, yeah, that's not a good joke, Josh. You should prep your show more. Then it might be funny. Maybe you'd get those patrons. Folks, okay. Well, so, I'm a bit of a jack of all trades, and one of the things that I've always been into is guitars and amps. I started working with guitars and amps, I guess in my late teens when I stumbled upon the amazing local shop, Small Town Sound, here in Little Rock. And it was run by such a nice gentleman who kind of took me under his wing, taught me the ins and outs of tube amps, taught me why solid state sucks, taught me how to take a Silverface era Fender and turn it into a brown face era Fender, and that's because that's the one you want. It's not the blackface Fender, it's the brown face Fender. And I'm not being racist. I'm not talking about, oh gosh, I'm talking about little tiny bits inside of tube amps. Forgive me for what you thought. Okay, so anyway, that's where I learned musical gear, and I took that knowledge and I used it to build and play and sell, and then oddly enough found myself right there in the heart, the thick of it at Guitar Center. And as is typical in retail, the turnover is very high, and it's no exception at Guitar Center, mostly because customers are just assholes no matter where you go, and there's only so many of them you can take most of the time. You either learn to ignore them and you kind of put your asshole block up and you just shield them off, or they get to you. And most people, they just get to you. And so the turnover rate's really high. So I found myself at Guitar Center, just a regular old employee. Suddenly then I'm a keyboards department head, and then I don't even know if that was really a thing or if they were just humoring me. And then suddenly I'm one of the assistant managers, wouldn't you know, and holy crap, I have keys to the store and access codes and all kinds of crap like that, and I had to do giant money drops, and hoo boy, wasn't that fun. Well, it was actually. It was awful at times, but you know what made it great? Yeah, you already know what made it great. It's the employees. And you know what? I don't know that I set the employees up with a screen for me to click on. Let me see here. No, I guess I didn't. No, there they are. Oh, look at that. Shit actually worked once. Okay, let me see if I can fix. They're a little off, but I bet I can fix it. Let's see. Okay. Okay, we're gonna go with that. If you guys would tilt your camera down just a wee bit. There we go. Okay, let me see if I can get a two-shot with you guys. And let me see if I can make that happen. Nope. Okay. Well, we're going to bounce between me and you fellows. Let me see if I can quickly add. I bet I can. Oh, we're doing stuff on the fly here now. You guys just look pretty for a minute. And guest full screen. And let me type in that so I remember, and looky there, camera 2, and then over to you guys. Okay, so I am joined tonight by Blake and Joey, two good pals who worked with me at Guitar Center, and we used to have such fun, you guys, along with our crew there, and we are going to tell some fun stories, and some maybe some mean stories and some funny stories. We'll just have to see. We'll have to see what all kinds of stories that we can find out about. Now, the first thing I wanted to talk about, if that's okay with you guys, because I thought we'd start with the fun stuff. So to give everybody a quick rundown, Guitar Center has at any given time 3 assistant managers. You got your main manager, right? And then you got your store manager, which I never exactly figured out what in the hell he did. He was supposed to train people, but as far as I could tell, there was no training going on. So there was that guy, and then there was operations. Operations is everybody in the back. That's your warehouse crew. That's the guys who are actually keeping it running. Think roadies, right? Okay, and then you got 3 assistant managers who are divided up over the store because it's a big store and there's different rooms. So the assistant managers can sell anything they want. They can sell a guitar, a sound system. They can go over there and sell a pedal and then sell a drum set. But everybody else, unfortunately, is confined to their specific department, thus driving them mad, as you'll see, because we'll probably get into tales of accessory guys trying to snipe guitar deals and other nonsense like that. Oh yeah, and that was a thing too. There were arguments and people getting chewed out because you just didn't do that kind of thing. That's just not cool. So 3 assistant managers, and I'd like to start by telling my favorite story. Because one day I'm called into the back office and the manager says, "Hey Josh, I'm going out of town next weekend and I want you to be the manager in charge. You're going to be the manager for the store." And I'm like, "Okay, all right, I can do that. I've seen what you do, and you basically just sit here and refresh your computer like a million times a second and to see who sold what and then chew them out for not adding on the pro coverage. I can do that. I can probably walk around some even." So and I thought, all right, I'll do it. So I say yes, and I get handed the master keys, right? So I've got different keys now, and I make a quick decision. I say, okay, now I want everybody to sell, because I want the numbers to look really good when the boss gets back. But at the same time, I got to figure out a way to do it where a fun way to do it. And I want to keep people's spirit. I don't want them to look at me the way they look at the real boss. Are you feeling me? Okay, so right down the block from the old Guitar Center was a big old Staples. So I wander into Staples, and I buy one large bag of candy, different kinds of candy for each department. So the drum department has a big bag of Skittles, and the accessories and pedals department, they got a big bag of M&Ms, and the guys back in Pro Audio have a big old bag of gummy bears or whatever. Let me tell you, those bastards sold like crazy. They sold, the numbers were up, everybody was happy, everybody was full of energy. I'm sure they crashed like crazy after they went home. That's not my problem. So the boss comes in and he's like, what did you do? And I'm like, hey man, I was just being myself, man. That's the way you motivate them. And he goes around, everybody's happy. Everybody had a really good weekend. And of course, everyone's still friendly with me. So he knows I wasn't, Mr. Taskmaster with the whip trying to get people to sell. And so there it is, the secret, Oz. I bribed everyone with loads and loads of sugar. You could do that. It cost me about, I don't know, $12. $12. Come on. Okay. That goes to show you, any manager listening, really how much a free pizza or lunch for the crew can do on any given day. If you don't think a Little Caesars free lunch means the world to your employees, you don't know your employees. So let's jump over and talk with, let me find the button. There we go. Let's jump over and we're going to talk with Blake and Joey. Calling us now from what looks like the back room of a Little Caesars Pizza or something, back of a warehouse there. You guys went all. You guys, no, sorry. We got the hot water heater in view. We got a good view here. All right, so we had a pretty, I'm sure everybody thinks that the crew that they work with at any given time was the best crew, but I will say that while I was there, the crew was second to none. Not just in terms of cool people, but people who actually knew their shit and could get shit done and be cool at the same time, which is a trick. Let's talk about the fun game that we came up with while we were there, because it is usually the first story that I tell people When they say, "Oh, you worked at Guitar Center?" Yes. Do you have any fun stories? What was it like to work there? My very first story confuses the hell out of them because I'm sorry, what? So I'm going to set the little backstory and then you guys take over. So one of our employees, John, found a small stuffed koala, sort of like a Beanie Baby. And we assumed a kid dropped it. We waited for someone to return to pick it up. They never did. And then it became a game. Blake, tell us about the game and its name.
Do you remember all the rules?
I don't think I do. That's why I got you guys on here.
Who named him?
John named him. And the bear's name ended up being LaPonte.
LaPonte.
I have no idea why that ended up being his name, but it was great. He had a little name tag and everything. He sat on a little guitar stand behind the counter. The game basically just became a game of tag, more or less. We had to throw them and hit people with them. And then the game evolved over time to where you had to basically, like, if you were coming around a corner and somebody saw you, you had to yell LaPonte before you threw them and hit them with it. And then, of course, if you hit them, they would pick it up and beat the holder of LaPonte until they hit somebody else and so on and so forth. And
Now, I also remember part of it was you couldn't let the boss see. So it was...
yeah, that was one of the rules. Or
customers. It was something that we really tried to keep as a fight club.
Well, there was another rule, too, if you remember.
Okay.
Do you remember the last rule of it?
I don't think I do.
Tanner couldn't play.
Oh, man.
Oh! Oh, okay. So Tanner... All right. I guess we got to go into a sidebar about Tanner.
We don't have to.
No, we do. We do. Because then the other stories about Tanner won't make any sense. So Tanner was hired in accessories. And if you can imagine a very blonde, very pale sort of Jack McBrayer from 30 Rock type of character, just seemingly as innocent and just naive as, just fell off the turnip truck.
He was a really good kid, though.
I'm speaking nothing about his character or even sales ability. I'm just speaking about his general characteristics. Yeah. Okay, I do remember that Tanner couldn't play. Although I don't remember Tanner really wanting to play. I don't really remember it being an issue. Did he? Okay. All right. Well. Oh gosh. Okay. Can you tell us some of your favorite LaPonte moments?
Oh man. There's the biggest one I remember is when LaPonte disappeared.
Yeah.
We spent like a year trying to find him, and then finally John sent us a picture of him. He's like, "Ha ha! I've got him, you fuckers."
He had him. Yeah, that's right. He is safe and sound. Here's a couple that I remember. And I know, Blake, you're in one of these because I went overboard at one point, and I remember a very, very slow day when I had LaPonte, and I think I was supposed to be, I had this massive, awful lighting project where I was supposed to rig up about 137 lights to play to Rush's Tom Sawyer in perfect sync. And it was completely wired wrong when I got there, and they were like, "Here, just fix it." So it was one of those days where I was probably supposed to be doing that, and I just said, I can't do this anymore. And I got LaPonte, and I went back into the warehouse, and I climbed up onto the very top of one of the shelves, and it was the shelf right outside the manager's office, so the time clock is right there. If anybody's coming back there, that's where they're going. So I just laid there face down with LaPonte in my hand and waited. And I am 99% sure it was you, Blake, who was walking by. And I let go, and I remember just letting go and going, "LaPonte." And you looked up, whack, right on the head. That's one I remember. And then the only other one I remember specifically was, I do remember, now I don't remember who was involved. Again, Blake, it could have been you. I remember putting someone in a large cardboard box on a dolly and rolling it into Pro Audio. Whoever
John
was
the one in the box.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it was John.
Because we put him in the box and then rolled him in there, and it was on a delivery day, so they were expecting boxes of stuff. So we roll it in, and then I pulled out my phone, called the front desk, and said, "Connect me to Pro Audio." Whoever it was in Pro Audio picks up and says, "This is Pro Audio," and that's when John pops out of the box, hits him with it. It was perfectly timed. One of those games, no one knows. If you weren't there, you're not going to get it. You wouldn't understand. You probably had a game like that at your job if it was cool. Do you guys remember anything? What else do you remember about Leponte and the games? Were there any other games aside from messing with the new people?
Well, there became the scaring game, which if you're friends with me on Facebook, I've been regularly getting one of our employees right now.
Oh, poor Chris Doan. His arpeggio. You're gonna scare the arpeggios right out of his fingers, and then what will he do?
He's such an easy target. I love him to death.
The easy targets are the ones that you can't help. I mean, you have to. I'm guilty of doing that to my girlfriend too. I don't have to hide very well, So yeah, I've gotten her a couple times. I have all these arcade cabinets, so my favorite is I'll stand in the arcade cabinet. It doesn't have a monitor, and I'll just stand up inside it as someone walks by. That's my new favorite. But now I will say, and I didn't start these, so maybe you guys can help fill these in. I do remember maybe it was Tanner. We told someone that Mark Chiaro, our operations manager, was the original guitarist from Slayer, and that he had recorded all of the original songs from the first album and had been with the band for years prior, but then had a family and quit to start a family. And whoever it was believed every word we said. And then maybe I think I heard them tell a customer that one of our managers was in Slayer, and the manager's like, "Okay, all right."
I don't remember. There was another story about Mark Chiaro too that made him into the scariest person in the world, and people were terrified of him for a long time until they realized that he's just a big old teddy bear.
He did have that kind of presence. Although when we would have meetings, when we would have a store meeting, if Mark was there, if Mark was up front, waiting behind Oz to talk to us, it was never good. You really had to be screwing up. We either collectively as a store had to be screwing up super hard, or some individual was screwing up so bad and Mark just did not want to call him out. And so if he came out and he had a serious face on, I remember everybody's like, "Oh shit, what did we do? Crap, what did we do?" Because you just did not want to make Mark mad. Mark had one of the toughest jobs for sure, if not the toughest, to keep that shit organized. And it was, he'd have to come out and yell at people for missing a punch. It was "We had 37 missed punches this week. What are you idiots doing?"
But it was in the sweetest tone you could possibly
come
get.
on. Yeah, you could tell it killed him to have to yell at us, Now, who came up with the Coke machine?
I don't remember that. You remember that? Yeah. I don't remember who came up with it, but we started telling the new guys that they had to clean the Coke machine every night.
Y'all never told me that, though.
I know.
I think you were working there when we started telling people that, Joey. And of course, and most people with after thinking about it for a minute would go, "Doesn't Coca-Cola own this machine? A Coke guy comes and fills it, and it's got a Coke."
Man, that Coke machine was clean for a couple weeks though.
Oh yeah. We had a front desk girl who. We had a couple of front desk girls. One of them would believe anything you told her, and then the other one would not believe anything you told her ever. She was the smart one. But the one who would believe anything you told her, I may have started the cleaning the Coke machine, because I remember specifically her coming up to me and going, "I think I've done everything. I think I'm done already. Can you believe I'm done already? And there's all this time?" And then, you're not going to come up to me and say that and not have me be a smart ass. That's not going to happen. So I said, "Well, have you cleaned the Coke machine?" "No." "Well, go clean the Coke machine. It gets dirty." Yeah, so that
He trusted you.
that may have been me. Sorry. Sorry. Little extra work, didn't hurt anything, made the store look nice. Uh, do you guys remember the Mellow Yellow incident? You guys remember the Mellow Yellow shift?
No.
Okay.
Wait, are you talking about trying to get Mellow Yellow in the Coke machine?
We worked hard. I worked my ass off. Now this is what I remember. I remember us standing at the front, everybody with a goddamn Mountain Dew in their hand, and going, you know, if they just had Mellow Yellow in the Coke machine, that's pretty close. I'd settle for that. And I was like, I can't even remember the last time I had a Mellow Yellow. And then we start talking about Mellow Yellow. Coke machine guy comes in, and I go back there as he's filling them in, and I go, hey man, listen, we got a ton of Mountain Dew drinkers up in here. If there's something that's not selling well, if you switched it to Mellow Yellow, I think you'd sell a bunch of them. And the guy
There was no need in having 5 Dr. Pepper buttons either.
All right, fair enough. But he said that no one ever bought the Monster energy drinks. He was like, nobody ever buys Monster. I'm never filling very many, so I'll load that with Mellow Yellows. Great. Then this is what I remember. The very first time he comes back, he loads it in, and I go tell everybody, hey, there's Mellow Yellow in there. It says Monster, but it's Mellow. And I think he changed it. He didn't have time to change the setting, so it was $2 instead of $1.50, and we sold every damn one of those Mellow Yellows. That's how bad those Mountain Dew fans wanted them. For warm Mellow Yellows. Oh, I don't even care. It hasn't cooled down yet. There's no way those got cold. Oh, God. Those are some nasty. Those warm Mellow Yellow is not good, but I guess it was a nice change. Let's talk before we go negative, because there's a lot of negative. What are some other things, some other stories and things that you guys can remember that you want to share?
We had the bank robbing chick that worked with us.
Oh yeah, see, that was after me. That was that happened after. Can you give us the basic details of that?
Oh yeah, man. So I moved to Little Rock from Searcy to start, working at Guitar Center and playing music. Those were some of my friends that were coming up there with me, because there's not, shit to do down there with your, like, any kind of like progressive thinking person. So Kathy was a little bit weird. We'd been roommates before, and then we split up again. This is her boyfriend Derek, who was my best friend originally. And like after we moved out of our house, that first year we were there, Kathy like turned up with ovarian cancer. She was like going through chemo and all this stuff, and that's when I first started shaving my head. It was because of her. Like, I got her hired at the store, and she came over to borrow my clippers and was like, I'm going to take the rest of it off before it starts. I was like, well, let's just shave my head because it looks like shit anyway, and nobody's going to notice you. We put together like a benefit show for her, raised like $1,200. I got her hired in lessons. She was doing pretty well, blah, 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 blah. Something was just weird. Everything progressing. She would ask for money, and then, let's see. She got fired for, doing something stupid, and in the process of like looking for another job, we all roommated up again. And I saw the like Forbidden Hillcrest, if that's still around, article like on my phone, but it had like a really shitty phone.
I remember you sending it to me right after you saw it.
Yeah, so I couldn't really like see pictures. I would just kind of scroll and read shit. And that night I went back home, and they're out, like grilling steaks and hanging out and doing shit. I'm stoned as fuck in my bedroom playing guitar. And my buddy Norm, who also lived with us and I played with, like comes in, and he's got a smartphone and shows me this picture, and it's fucking her face wearing one of her wigs, robbing a fucking R-vest on Rodney Parham.
Oh, crap.
Yeah.
And at that point, she had not been identified?
No.
Wow. So
Yeah.
then what do? You're like, oh crap, my roommate robbed a bank. Now, was she successful or was she not successful with the bank robbery? Did she get away with
In
money?
the long run, no.
Well, okay, obviously we're talking about it now. But I mean,
Yeah.
did they give her money? Did she actually walk out of the bank with cash?
Yeah, she had. She said she had a bomb strapped to her, and I don't know how much she got away with, but the cops were everywhere the next day, and she got picked up like immediately. Turns out she never had cancer.
Oh, I didn't hear that part. Wow. Okay. Okay.
That's probably the most insane Guitar Center. So the twice when the doors got ran through.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Now
That was like
going back to headaches. Going back to headaches for our operations manager.
Were you there when that happened?
Yes, I was there.
I feel like you were. Yeah.
I was there for at least one of them.
Okay.
But they happened pretty quick together, so maybe I was there for both.
Yeah. So like the first one happened, and I was like, it's ironic because I remember I had just I think I was working at the strip club as a second job at the time, and like I just gotten off work at the strip club when the call came in from the alarm company, and I make it to the store in like 5 minutes flat from my house in Maumelle, I was cooking to get there. I even ended up beating Oz there, I think.
I was gonna say the strip club is it's nowhere.
That's another story.
It's nowhere near Guitar Center, so okay.
So anyways, like I remember getting there, seeing the gate busted up and stuff like that, and going in, like waiting on the police to get there and going in, and realizing that whoever broke in didn't know what the hell they were stealing because all they stole was the Epiphones and the ladder was open behind the counter where they went in and grabbed guitars from. If they would have walked up one rung of ladder, they could have grabbed like $4,000 PRSs.
Wait, they grabbed the Gibson robot.
That was the only one the entire company sold, I think.
The Gibson robot.
The Firebird X.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So
in case of accessories, you needed worth the fucking thing.
Okay, so for non-musicians, they basically went in and got all the cheap guitars. Had they just gone up one, because we put the nice guitars on the top rack. So the $1,500, $2,000 guitars is the whole top row. The middle row is all $300 and $400 guitars, and then the $200 guitars. And apparently, I guess they went for they were like, we don't need anything fancy. We don't need lobster. All right, we just need a nice Epiphone. But then
cost more to fix the door than the guitars they stole.
Oh, I'm sure there was more damage to the store. Did they get the Gibson robot?
They got one Firebird X, and the Firebird X it happened to be on the bottom row because that's how they wanted it displayed because they were trying to push that guitar really hard. And I don't think, if I remember right, Gibson ended up buying all those back from most of the dealers because they didn't sell at all.
Right. I was gonna say because I couldn't imagine anybody actually bought that guitar.
They were super limited, and like they only made a couple hundred of them. They looked like dog shit. They were just. Gibson's R&D during that era, everybody knows about it. Anybody that's a musician knows that they were doing silly stuff at that point in time anyways.
I'll do my sidebar. Here's my guitar, Gibson robot guitar story. One of the main selling features of the robot guitar that really made it unique was it had a self-tuning feature. You could put it in a certain mode, you'd tune the string, and the tuner had an actual motor in it and it would tune the string for you. Now, anyone who's accidentally broken a high string on a guitar is probably going, that sounds like that could backfire at some point. And you'd be right, because the day it arrived, or the first day I go to work and it's there, it's right there on display. Me and another employee walked up to, I hate to name names, but I think it was Clint. And we were like, oh, this is cool. Look at this. I mean, it's kind of stupid, but it's kind of cool. And it was all do not touch and everything. And he just kind of barely touched a string, just as little as you could, just like a scene from a goddamn movie. That high E string just started tuning and went wee, pow, pops the string, makes a loud sound. Both of us recoil. There was probably Oz was probably right behind us comically. What did you guys do? We didn't do anything. We just touched it. I just touched it and it broke a string. So, now I will say, The one positive thing I will say about the robot guitar, if you guys will remember, Mike Scotcha could play the living shit out of that
Yeah, he
thing.
could.
Now, maybe that's just because of his fingers, and it probably is, but obviously that guitar had some kind of purpose because he loved that guitar. He liked the way it played. He liked the features that it had. He was one of the guys that recommended and tested it for him, and they, like, you know, he gave them feedback on it, and they changed stuff, and they made it. So, I don't know. I guess there is a market for it for someone, but when he died, that market may have died as well. All right, so there's the robot guitar. All right, so they smash through the gates. They get a few cheap ass guitars and a couple of good ones. But yeah, the metal gate is completely destroyed. And what happens then?
We end up the next month, I think we ended up having plywood doors waiting on them. Yeah, we had plywood doors with a chain holding them shut for about a month. They finally got the glass put back in. The gate was back ordered for another 3 months. We had an armed security guard sitting out front for the next 3 months at night just to make sure the store didn't get broke into again. We get the cage in. They install the cage. The night they get the cage installed, the fuckers do it again and drop it.
It was super insane because I closed that night, and Mark Chiaro was up there. He's never there that late, and he was like, "Well, we're waiting on the guys to get here. They're going to install the gate." And then I opened the next morning and see Mark and them. See people like when I'm coming up, I'm like, "Oh, they're still here. Maybe they just switched times or whatever." And then there's busted glass and shit everywhere. It's like they got it in and they did it.
If you ever walk in the store, like you walk in the doors, if anybody's happens to walk in there and you look down on the right by the frame of the door on both sides, you can see these little scuff marks on there. Those are the tire marks. They're still there.
That's not coming off. Yeah, that's not coming off. Oh yeah, that was a total nightmare. Obviously when your store is broken into like that, you don't know what's gone. And not knowing what's in the store is not a good thing. So it came down to counting picks probably almost for Mark. And he is such a solid, not just a solid dude, but like a solid employee that he was not going to have any discrepancies. He was not going to do this light. He was not going to skimp. And honestly, he's probably the only guy in the world who would do it the second time like that and do it just as thorough as the first one and not just blow some shit off. Like I said, he was not the guy to piss off, and I would not want to be those guys. Mark is a big teddy bear, but I have a feeling if he was ever in a darkened room or just a lone room with some guys and they were like, we broke into Guitar Center twice, we drove our car in, I have a feeling it would not end well for those guys. And they would just never be heard from again. All right, let's talk other big store scandals. Now, I was there one time when a nice lady came up to me with her son and said, "Sir, there's a man and he's passed out in his truck outside." And my very first thought, because it's us, is, "Oh great, who's sleeping in their truck? Oh God, is it?" So I go and look, and no, it's not an employee. It's a customer who is shirtless, shoeless, and not asleep, but definitely passed out in the driver's side of his little pickup. The door is open. Because my first thought was, how does she know he's passed out? It's just a guy sleeping in his truck. No. The door was open and his leg was kind of hanging out, and it was definitely not a normal sleeping position. My first thought was, how did he even get into our parking lot? Because it wasn't someone who'd been in the store. But he apparently woke up and drove off before we could get out there a second time. But now I got a message, kind of a cryptic message about an incident that happened. And I mean, the week after I left, you guys, as soon as I leave, some shit goes down. From what I understand, it involved like a lunch break with some cocktails that did not go, I guess, as planned. Do you guys know the story I'm talking about? I don't know it.
Vodka on your lunch break in copious amounts is not a good idea.
I mean, that makes sense to me, but obviously not everyone. So, without naming names, what happened?
I really don't know. I was there the day that it happened. I just know he went off to lunch and came back and like tried to make an inappropriate pass at somebody that he shouldn't have made, and then stumbled over a bunch of like music stands, and then they ended up having to escort him out. And that was about it. That was the end of his first career. So.
Now, this was his first week, right? He had just started because this was because from what I understand,
I think he'd been there longer than a week.
well, I know that I left, and then very shortly later heard like the story, and the story was from another employee who I guess assumed that I knew this person because they must have thought I was still working. They were like, "Did you hear what happened with so and so?" And I was like, "I don't know who that is." And they were like, "Oh, well, he just started at Guitar Center and he just came back from lunch drunk and passed out on the floor."
Yeah,
that's like less than a month. I mean,
yeah, he wasn't there very long. I know that much.
Man, he was such a cool guy too. Like he was very nice and knowledgeable, and we just didn't know that side about him. It turns out like he was just just a drinker.
Okay, now I have to ask, knowing the front door girl that we're talking about, she's not the kind of person you just try and make a pass at. So
I'm surprised she didn't claw his eyes out.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, is that how he ended up into the music stands, or?
I really don't remember that part of it. I don't think I saw it actually happen.
Okay. Oh well. We'll just put it together in our head. In my head, he makes a pass at her and she just smacks him aside and he falls and tumbles into music stand. So that's the way I'm going to remember it.
Or is it quick juke? Maybe, yeah, something like that.
Let's talk about the customers. Earlier in the monologue, I mentioned that customers especially guitar players. Well, okay, let me start with this. Kyle Kinane, the stand-up comedian, did a bit that I think pretty well accurately sums up a lot of Guitar Center customers. And he, I guess, maybe even didn't know that he was not an anomaly. And his approach to, he said, I go into Guitar Center like I must be a prodigy and I just haven't figured out what I'm good at. So I'll go sit down at some drums, blah, 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 blah. No, I guess I'm not amazing at drums right away, so let me go over to piano. Bang, 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 bang. No, I'm not immediately good at piano, so let me go over to guitar, blah, 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 and so on and so forth. And he seemed to think that was just him, whereas no, that's most of the Guitar Center customers who don't already play an instrument, unfortunately. So, there were some good ones. I remember a young, probably 15, 16-year-old kid who used to come in and play goddamn Johnny Marr licks like they were nothing on his guitar and blow me and Wires away. And, but for the most part, they weren't Devons. They were somebody else. So, again, we're gonna be discreet here. We're not gonna name any names on our customers, but it seems funny because I think probably the only ones we can really remember are gonna be the bad ones. So what do you guys got?
I don't remember all bad ones. I remember some good ones.
But
there are some funny bad ones.
Well, we were talking earlier about the old scam where you put something on, put a used item on layaway at Guitar Center, and then for just a tiny amount of money, and then you go and try to sell it for more on eBay before you've actually bought it, and then if it doesn't sell on eBay, then you just cancel the layaway. Were there any other scams that people used to try and pull that you guys remember?
There's been a few scams. Like, do you remember like the check fraud scams and the credit card fraud scams when people were trying to come in and buy MacBooks from us and stuff like that?
No, I guess I don't.
It was a big chain email thing that went around at one point in time. It's like people were going into stores with like fraudulent checks and fraudulent IDs and trying to buy MacBooks and stuff, and they would buy it they would steal it from one store and return it to another store or something like that to get the money back. It's like all sorts of crazy stuff like that. So I'm trying to remember some specific stories about customers that are funny.
Well,
that are not I love customers. I really do. I love dealing with them. And after, I've been there, this is my 10th year with a 4-year break in there. So, I mean, like, I love most of them.
Okay, I'm getting a question.
Left.
I'm getting a question from a viewer named Wade Stewart. Wade Stewart. Of course, Wade's not just a viewer. He's an ex-Guitar Center employee as well. One that worked with our crew and probably participated in Leponte and some of the other shenanigans.
Yes, he did.
He is saying, I should ask you about the 0111, the 1 to 11 customers.
Oh, the people who buy everything and bring it right back, basically just recycle money through the store. It's like we've had people that we've, like, I think cut off from doing returns in the past just because, like, they're basically buying stuff and then immediately bringing it back right at the edge of their return policy, which ends up hurting the store in the long run because you can't resell the item as new at that point there. And, then we end up losing money reselling it to somebody else. But they've recycled that same money through like 7 or 8 pieces of gear and so on and so forth. And then they end up returning it way down the road and just getting all their money back. It's like they've stretched that return policy to about a 6-month deal there. So,
hey, that sounds okay. Well, that does make a lot of sense. Any musicians watching who've been in more than 1 or 2 bands, I'm sure you've known that musician who is just never fucking satisfied. You guys know him. He's bought that amp. You know the one. He comes into practice and he puts that amp down and you're like, holy that's the coolest. Oh my God. And he starts playing it and you're like, that tone is amazing. Oh my God, you finally found the. And 2 weeks later, it's fucking gone and he's got some other thing that's not nearly as cool. And you can tell he doesn't like it. You can tell he regrets it. And then 2 weeks later, it's something else. And 2 weeks later, and then. I hate to point names, but there was a guitar player from Ashtray Babyhead who had so many cool amps and guitars that just disappeared. Now I can't be one to talk, but and then another guy, Brett I used to play with. Brett had a really cool vintage orange combo amp, a combo orange 212 with reverb and trim. It was the best amp anyone could have ever wanted in the entire world of existence. Yeah, he had it for like a month and then, it's gone. So sometimes you got to play something and bring it back. But like you said, now there were people who would do that, but then there were also back in pro audio, the guys who would basically buy a PA, use it for a gig, and then just bring it back. Yeah, and
this is why we offer rentals now.
Renting. See, and that makes sense because there was a lot of that. There were a lot of guys who were like, "No, I just didn't like the whole system." Really, the whole system? Okay. So there were those guys. Who else did we talk about? What else comes to mind, fellows?
Do you remember a story about a guy who paid for a gig bag and got out with a gold top Les Paul?
Oh, Lord. Okay. All right. Okay.
Names.
I've got one of his flyers around here somewhere. I'm surprised it's not behind me. Okay. Well, we can tell that story. Now, Blake, were you there when it happened? Or was
I wasn't working, but I was in the store on my day off that day.
Okay. All right. I will still call that the greatest heist in Guitar Center history because no one was ever arrested. So that's what I'll say. I'll say,
give me my guitar back.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to run through the story. Blake, you correct me on anything.
There's not much to correct on it.
Okay. So our friend of the show, Scott, I don't think he cares. Scott Diffie. Scott Diffie from Go Fast. Lord, gotta love you, Scott. Love you, Scott. But so Scott goes into Guitar Center and he buys a gig bag. A nice padded gig bag and that will fit a standard Gibson Les Paul or a Gibson SG. And after he buys said gig bag and leaves the store, somebody notices that there's a hole in the wall. Any manager notices holes in the wall. especially on the top 2 rows. If there's a hole in the top row, where's that PRS? Where's that Les Paul? Where is it? Because I don't see any customers with it, especially towards the end of the day. Towards the end of the day, you see a hole in the wall, and if nobody sold something, then there's a problem. And when there's a gold top Les Paul in the store, you don't have to know a lot about guitars to know that gold top Les Paul is an eye catcher. And if it's suddenly not there, people notice. And that day, people noticed. And it didn't take, I don't know exactly how long the process took. I'm going to say maybe 30 seconds for the pieces to be put together of this puzzle. Who was in the store? Did someone play that guitar? Who got that guitar down for someone? Someone got on a ladder and got it down for a customer. So it didn't take long to put 2 and 2 together, and all signs pointed to Scott Diffie. Now, as it just happened, Scott Diffie and his band Go Fast were playing a show that night at local Midtown Billiards. Now, Midtown, they don't get started until about, the band goes on about 1 a.m. So, lovable operations giant teddy bear Mark somehow convinced everyone involved, Guitar Center, corporate, local, everyone, to just let him handle it. Now, if you knew Mark, then that would make sense. Because if Mark says, I'll go get the guitar back, you believe him. You're like, I believe you will. Just don't tell me where you buried the body, Mark. Jeez. So Mark says, I'll get the guitar back. I'll go get it back. And he goes to Midtown Billiards and confronts Scott. Scott, of course, being Scott, plays completely innocent. Seems to, and despite the fact that he found the guitar in the gig bag and swapped out the regular strap buttons for strap locks, despite that, he thought he paid for that guitar, baby. You tell me I didn't pay for that guitar? Shit. All right, well, take it back. So, possibly the easiest recovery and coolest recovery of a stolen Gibson Les Paul. But
I've heard somebody ask at one point in time if Scott was still banned from the store. Man, if you need something, Scott, come see me. I got you.
No, I'm pretty sure. I was told to tell him he could come back in and shop, and I did a couple years ago. And I think he has. I think he's come down and bought something.
He probably has.
Let's talk famous people. Because working at Guitar Center, every once in a while, a member of Nickelback might just come. No, I'm joking. Every once in a while, somebody cool comes in, or we get to work on a cool project. Now, our store was lucky enough during the West Memphis 3 trials, or not during the trials, but when they were still in prison. Old Johnny Depp and Eddie Vedder put together a big benefit concert. Well, it started out as a little tiny benefit concert, and by the time it was over, it was a huge, huge benefit concert. We took care of them. And I gotta say, and I say that very proud because we kicked some ass. We were given that job and we picked out the coolest shit. I don't know if who else played? There were a bunch of people there. It was there was some band that was there and we provided all their gear. Ben something. Oh hell, my brain is Swiss cheese. Obviously they didn't come into the store, but we had a few run-ins. Who do you guys remember? Let me push some buttons. There we go.
Matt Pike just wandered in one day.
Nice. When did that happen?
2000, probably like 12, 13, 14. It was a Sunday.
Was he just in town? Were they just passing through town or?
Yeah. Well, the tour bus pops up and we're like, oh, well, that's cool. Who's it going to be? And then it's fucking Matt Pike. He's tall as hell. I'd never seen him off stage, he's tall anyway, but I was like, good God. He was super nice, went and hung out with Jeff Morgan. Of course, Jeff knows everybody in the world.
I wish Jeff could be here. Jeff's been on our program so many times, though, we're going to give him a pass. He's a busy guy, so I think 3-4 appearances, we'll cut him some slack.
remember a few different ones. Unfortunately, I never found myself in the right situation or the right place at the right time to deal with these people when they came in. But I know
that's
a
always
couple,
the way.
right? Rodney Carrington, the comedian,
Yeah.
sold him a Taylor guitar. One of our other associates, Drew, did, and he went to the show that, or somebody went to the show that night. He didn't even play the damn guitar. He played a Takamine. Turns out he had an endorsement deal. He had Claudio Sanchez from Coheed and Cambria is one that's a kind of a funny story that goes along with that. If anybody knows who Coheed and Cambria is, I'm sure some people do listen, watching.
Sure.
But Claudio came in with, I guess, the guy that was their bass player at the time, which I think he's in jail now or something like that. Anyways, he came in and they were trying to buy like a Pro Tools rig for their bus, like just a little, back in the day when the inbox was a thing, and they were trying to buy a Pro Tools rig for him. And Patrick, I love him anyways. Patrick realized who it was, and a guy back in Pro Audio, Jay Brown. Did Jay work there when you were there, Josh?
No, but he came in quite often, so I met him a few times.
And I know I called him by name. He probably wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter at this point because he hadn't worked for Guitar Center in many, many years. But he was from Brooklyn, a guy from Brooklyn in the South, and he's over Pro Audio dealing with Claudio on that. And Patrick walks over and he's like, dude, these guys are in a really rad band. Will you hook them up? And Jason's like, I don't know who the fuck they are. Just keep ringing them up.
Brutal. Now, okay. I could be totally wrong. I swear somebody at one point told me that fucking Skrillex came into the store one time.
He did, actually, with this whole entire entourage. There was some little...
I was thinking that Louis told me that.
Yeah.
Louis should be here. Where's Louis?
Louis should be here. Louis got stories.
Louis get arrested for some of the stories he tells, so maybe that's why he's not here.
None of them happened at Guitar Center, I don't think, fortunately.
Okay. So Skrillex and his crew did come in?
Yeah, they did. They were doing so. I think there was a show that was going on down at the River Market under the pavilion one night that he was playing, and they happened to stop in.
And then, slightly different change. Didn't one of the guys from the Nickelodeon show, Nick and Drake, or Josh and Drake, there was some Nickelodeon show that had a couple of kids, and one of those kids came in the store. Yeah, all right. Well, anyway.
I don't remember that.
We did have Mike Scotcha, which was cool. We also had what was the bass player guy's name from
dude from Death Clock.
Yeah, the dude from Metalocalypse. Yeah,
Brian Beller.
Yes, and he's played with some heavy hitters too.
Yeah.
Now we also had
I forgot about that. Vinny Appice.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Now he's pretty good. That's pretty good. I don't remember that happening. I would have remembered that.
I think that may have been after you left. He did a clinic, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Not often that we got clinics in there, but I remember the Brian Beller one was really cool.
Now, we have our local celebrity, Jermaine Taylor, used to drop by the shop fairly often.
Yeah.
I know I sold him a couple. He came in and something stupid. He was like, I want my tailgating rig to be louder than everybody else's. And it's like, okay, buy these fucking QVC K12s and there you go.
He came in and bought a nice rolling kit one time, and one of our drum associates had to go over to his house and like help him set it up because I think Erica, wasn't that his wife's name? Like,
yeah,
she ended up
and I sold her a bunch of stuff too.
Yeah. Drum associate went to go help set it up, and he's got a Lambo in the garage or something like that.
Oh, yeah. No, it was he had this yellow something. I can't remember what it was. He used to park it. He used to get his haircut right outside the recording studio that I worked at, a little tiny barber shop. And so it was just like, there's a shitty Walgreens, and then there's like, there's a yellow Italian sports car sitting in front of a barber shop. I'm like, what in the heck? It's Jermaine Taylor getting his haircut. Let me see. Seems like there was something else. Was there something else that we were supposed to talk about?
I've got a question for you.
Lay it on me.
So, like, what was the coolest piece of vintage gear that you ever got your hands on, or just used gear? Like, what was the coolest thing that just randomly came in the store?
There were some cool pieces for sure, but the most expensive rare thing that I ever touched was a gold top Les Paul that was 58, 59, something
53.
like that. 53.
I just found a photo of it on my Facebook the
Oh,
other day.
okay. I'll go back. I've got some photos, but yeah, that one, and it was one of those hard things because the guitar market, like a lot of other markets, the comic book market, the baseball card market, there's all these books that show these high prices, and those are just not real anymore. And they're fun to look at, and it's fun to think that that guitar you have is worth that number in that book, but it's just not so, because there's no one that's going to pay you that amount for it. Because if you can see that amount in the book, and okay, that's legitimate, but you can get online and buy one for half the price, well, obviously nobody's going to pay you that book price. So the guy came in with the guitar, and it was one of those stories that you heard about where, or you dream about, where it's like, my grandfather died and we found this in the attic, and you're like, and he wasn't sure of the year, and we had to, oh Lord, that was the most frightening part, was having to take the screws off the back. I got the vintage guitar guys in California on the phone, and they're, telling me to take the back off of the back plate off and check the dates on the pots. And fortunately, I'd done that a lot with some other fairly really rare guitars. So, but yeah, that was pretty cool, pretty scary. We had to drop a way more realistic number on the guy, and I'm the middleman. I have no say in the matter, and so I just got to listen to him bitch at me and try and go, hey man, I don't know, that's what they said. We'd love to have the guitar though. I will say the weirdest thing that I've ever come across, it wasn't a Guitar Center, it was at Atomic Guitars, was a guy brought in a 70s Ovation solid body electric. It was one of the few models that they made. There was the Deacon, the Preacher, the Breadwinner, probably another one, but my brain is Swiss cheese, as I said. So this one was, I want to say this was the Deacon, maybe. If you've ever heard any of the first 3 Queens of the Stone Age albums, then you've heard that guitar, because they had very weird active DiMarzio distortion pickups. They were insane. The output volume on the pickups was just insane. The square waves that would come off of them were just insane. It was another exact thing. It was like, my uncle died and I found this in his garage, and you're like, I hate you.
Right.
The one other story that this will make everybody hate somebody. Okay. Same guitar store, on a Saturday, Johnny and I are sitting there bored, probably doing something stupid like trying to hook up all the pedals at once again. At one point we hooked up 16 Tube Screamers together just because that's what you do. If we'd had 16 heavy metal pedals or 16 rat pedals, we'd have done that. But we had 16 different kinds of Tube Screamers, so there you go. In walks my old guitar player, Brett McKnight, who, after you hear this story, you will possibly agree is one of the luckiest son of bitches that ever walked around. He comes in with a milk crate that clearly has a guitar in it. When he brings it in and sets it down, we discover he just bought this crated guitar at a yard sale just down the road, within walking distance of where we were. What guitar is it? Oh, it's just a 1966 Jaguar in all original condition. Yeah, it's in pieces, but it's all there, and it's never been repainted. He paid $15 for that, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, damn it.
$15 for that guitar. Yes, I know. Why couldn't it have been me? That's what every one of you is saying. Don't worry, my friends. Keep searching. One day, you too will find a crated box. Well, I don't know. Maybe not anymore. That was kind of before eBay was really a big thing. So
They didn't show it on. They weren't shown on TV shows all the time. It's like, oh, we'll pay you $100,000 for this guitar. I'm like, no, you won't.
Actually, Pawn Stars was not around as well. Now, we did run into the occasional bullshit guitar. I know I had to break somebody's heart who brought in a very, 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 very Chinese Gibson Les Paul, and those are pretty common. Did you guys run into any other kind of bullshit stories like that?
We ran across a bunch. There was a bunch of fake China-made Steve Vai guitars for a while that kept floating in. We had quite a few of their gems. The string guitars kind of got popular again there for a while. Like pulling it. You know that guitar is what, $3,000 new now, I think.
Sure.
And they were popping up. They were popping up with fake ones all over the place of those for a little while. That and the Les Paul stuff was happening quite a bit still. So we don't see them as often as we used to, though.
There you go, guys. Watch out for those Chinese Gibson Les Pauls. You'll find them on Facebook Marketplace too sometimes, and PRSs too. PRSs are real easy to spot because that script never looks right. It looks like I wrote Paul Reed Smith on the headstock of every one of those. Wade said he met Dimebag Darrell at GC Corpus Christi. He said he also had a guitar guy in Little Rock Guitar Center leave mid-shift when Shinedown, he thinks, gave him a job for the night. It was Puddle of Mud. Okay, he says he was previously a guitar tech for Puddle of Mud.
Yeah, that stuff. Like he was in mid shift when he got got the job for Puddle of Mud, and then ended up going on to work for Shinedown for a long time. Along with he tech for Anthrax and a bunch of other bands as well. He works at another local music shop.
Oh, okay. Well, then we won't give him any shit. If you work for Anthrax, you're cool in my book. Anthrax. I think Anthrax balances out Puddle of Mud. I think.
Well, the Puddle of Mud got his foot in the door. Puddle of Mud got his foot in the door, and he made a lot of money and got to tour the world.
Oh well, then Then we should all be so lucky. Oh, boys. This has been a lot of fun. It's been good telling stories. I wish we had more people. I'm hoping that after this, we'll forward this on to our other friends who maybe we talked about a little, either anonymously or not so anonymously. And maybe we'll do a follow-up. GC, and we'll bring in more tales from Guitar Center, and we'll have some other employees come in because honestly, I mean, it's already after 9, and I can still think of a few things that we didn't talk about. So, oh gosh, what was okay, I will tell you guys. I will tell this story because I just remembered this. There was a personal rule I had when I closed the store, and that rule was very simple. It was regarding the hours. Now, the hours of the store were always a bit of a controversy because we would arrive and there'd be notes on the door from angry guitarists who wanted to shop at 8:30 in the morning, I guess, showed up, thought we were open, and got so mad they left us a note. Really? You're not a musician if you're up at 8:30 trying to buy shit. I'm sorry, you're just not. But
This is drugs.
unless it's drugs. All right, fair enough. So, oh no. So, but my personal rule was when I closed the store, we closed at like 9, and so if it was 9:45 and you called the store, then I had every right to fuck with you. That was my rule. If you called, it was after 9:45, then sorry, all bets are off. And I remember one night in particular, there were several of us crammed into that little back office. The phone rings, and I did my best movie phone announcer guy, and I picked up the phone and said, "Thank you for calling Guitar Center Little Rock. If you'd like to speak to someone about in guitars, please press 1 now." And before I could even say something else, they pushed 1. And so then I said, "If you'd like to speak to someone about acoustic guitars, please press 1 now. If you'd like to speak to someone about electric guitars, please press 2 now." Beep. Okay. So then I keep going. "If you'd like to speak to someone about 6-string electric guitars, please press 1. If you'd like to speak to someone about 7-string guitars, please press 2. If you'd like to speak to..." Beep. And I'm just assuming that he picks 6-string. "If you'd like to speak to someone about Fender electric 6-string guitars, please press 1 now." And I went as far as I could, and until I ran out of things to say. And this guy was a trooper, total trooper. Never even heard him grumble like, "What is this?" or "What the fuck?" Nothing. Kept going.
To a representative.
Kept going. "I want humbuckers. I want a hardtail. I want..." Right. Like the guy's going to pick up the phone and go, "Oh, so you're looking for this exact guitar? I got it in my hand now." No, of course that's not going to happen. So finally I run out of things I can say. And I say, "Please wait while we transfer you to the next associate." And then I hum the Girl from Ipanema. And then, of course, I come back with, "I'm sorry, Guitar Center's closed. You'll have to call back tomorrow." The guy gets mad and hangs up. you have to do things like that. You have to. When you work retail, and hell, even when you don't work retail, you have to find those things that make you happy, that get you through the day, and especially amuse your other employers. Because if you can't amuse those around you, then you're not contributing to work. You're really not. Come on. Yeah, you're there to make some money, but if you can't help your fellow employees keep the mood light and keep them having fun and in good spirits too, then you're part of the problem. And we never had that problem at Guitar Center, did we, boys?
No.
Never had that problem. If anything, we were guilty of having too much fun. I think that's pretty safe to say. Sometimes it was definitely. Okay, well, guys, wave to everybody. If you want to give shout outs to the people who you think you want to name drop, who you think should come on and tell stories next time, this is the perfect time to call them out. Who you think should be on?
Jeff Morgan's got some pretty good stories.
Yeah, we got to get Jeff
He
Morgan.
makes people take their clothes off, from what I heard.
Oh, no.
What? Okay. All right.
Ask Jeff about that story. It's related to Guitar Center.
Yeah. Black Friday, no
Okay.
less.
Yeah, it was on Black Friday.
Okay. Well, obviously, we're not going to have a second one of these unless we get Jeff Morgan. Who else can tell some stories that can maybe hold up to his? Louis, maybe Wade can come on for the next one. Who do you guys
We
think?
get all Marshall.
Yeah, can we get Marshall on?
I did. I was able to get a hold of Marshall, but he couldn't get something done in time. Marshall, if you're watching, Marshall was our guitar tech, and so he fixed everything there. But more than that, he had a nice centrally located station, and I feel like he had kind of the best observer's post in the whole building. I think from his vantage point, he probably saw things that nobody else saw. So yeah, okay. So we get Marshall, we get Jeff Morgan. If we've got who else? Louis.
Louis.
Who else do you think would have some good stories? What about Eric? Eric has. Does anybody have more longevity than Eric?
Eric's still there, man.
That's what I'm
He
saying.
still works a couple days a week.
So we got to see if we can get Eric on there, and maybe we can get some of the. I'd love to get some of the OG staff. Maybe get because they're musicians. Musicians who regularly shopped Guitar Center over the years know what I'm talking about when I talk about the good old days and when the good old days came to an end. If you shopped at a Guitar Center in the good old days, you got great prices. You got amazing prices. Sometimes you got prices that you really shouldn't have gotten. You should have never gotten. But those were the good old days. And those days came to an end all nationwide across Guitar Center stores, not just here in Little Rock. And I'd love to talk to some people who were there when that change happened to find out how angry some of those customers were, to find out that they couldn't pay less than cost on that Paul Reed Smith anymore, and they were actually going to have to pay somewhere close to what it was actually worth. Who was there? Like, I'm thinking we need Brian Nolan. We need Brian Nolan, I think. He was one of the original employees of Guitar Center store number 100. So, Brian, if you're watching, we need your tales. He met Rick James there.
Yeah.
I mean, Rick James, bitch. That's pretty good. So if we can get Brian and Morgan, and if we can get Eric, then I think we can have some seriously good stories for episode 2. Guys, thanks again for joining me. Clearly, you guys were busy, and thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us. I'll let you guys get back. It looks like you're gonna just pick up controllers and start playing Zelda as soon as I click off. Like, all right, all right, let's get the bong and turn on the TV. Let's play Mario Kart now. It's 1999.
I'm a civilized human being. I gotta go do the dishes.
What? All right. Well.
Yeah.
All right, responsible. Okay, Wade says he's down for the next one, so good. We at least got Wade on there. And Wade's got a good point of view because he's worked at a couple of different GCs. Scott may have some good stories. Very soft-spoken, quiet Scott may have the best
I haven't talked to him in a long time, too.
And,
What about Mark? Wires.
I sent messages. I tagged everybody. Anybody who messaged me back, then we're here. This is it.
Mark Wires.
So, yeah, Wires was there kind of off and on over a very long span. So,
And we have to talk about Christmas parties.
oh Lord, the fucking Christmas party! Holy crap! Oh,
That was the best part.
That was the best part.
It's the best part of the whole year.
oh man, no question. Okay, we're gonna save that story till next time because it involves me drinking a lot of Jameson. I mean, a lot of Jameson. Oh Lord, and then singing the song from Cheech and Chong's "Up in Smoke." I will say before we go, the Christmas party. Okay, the quick rundown on the Christmas party at Guitar Center is the boss kind of randomly forms us into bands, and we have to go and rehearse and then perform at a venue. And
But y'all practiced?
dude, you were on my team. You practiced with me, dingus.
Well, the later ones we didn't practice any.
Okay. Well, the reason I bring that up is we had an employee at Guitar Center who was a bit of an anomaly. I won't say his name, but I'll give you the first letter of his first name, which is Z. And Z was back in drums, and Z was a bit of an odd guy. Very, very tall, young, seemed a little naive, but what was nice guy. But what was most interesting about Z was he claimed to be a drummer. He got the job as a drummer. He sold drums to other drummers. And yet, for some reason, none of us had ever once seen him sit down at a drum kit the entire time he'd been there. Keep in mind, he works all day in a room full of drum kits. And yet he never sat down at one. It seemed weird. And a couple of the guitar guys and I started this theory that he didn't actually play the drums. And it was just a goofy, lighthearted thing. But then, of course, wouldn't you know it, when it came time to form the Guitar Center bands, who's our drummer? Z. Oh, now, we knew two things about Z. Because he was kind of a private guy. He didn't share a whole lot like some people. Two things we knew for sure. One, he liked Breaking Benjamin a lot, and two, he wore way too much cologne. Aside from that, we didn't really know a lot about Z. So when it came time to do this rehearsal, I remember riding out to the practice space, and my only thought was, now I don't know if we'd already picked a song at that point. We ended up doing.
Do you remember what song we did?
Yeah, we did "Fuck You" by CeeLo.
Yeah, do you remember what the name of the band was?
Sex Pamphlet.
Yep, that's
Yes,
it.
was that it? My memory's not completely gone. So Sex Pamphlet, and it was let's see, I played the bass. Clint sang. Clint didn't rehearse with us, unfortunately. That was the problem. Yeah, you and Marshall played guitar, and then Z played drums. Honestly, I thought we had the best lineup. I thought we had too many good people in our group, and it was like,
Yeah, we kind of
fair. I think it was. Wade said Z was awful. Well, he was a little hard to work with, and he did reek of cologne. But when it came time to go to that rehearsal, he was fine. He was a totally competent drummer, no complaints, very natural, good sense of rhythm, good sense of tempo, and it was an easy rehearsal, an easy night. And so again, it was like a kind of just a slam dunk on our part. But I do remember.
After that, they started thinking that me and Jeff were in like conspiring in the whole thing, because every year me and Jeff would end up in the same band together and would win every year.
Oh no. Well, I do remember after everyone played their sets, then there was kind of a free for all, and Chiaro just kept handing me shots. And he must have handed me 5, and I'd already had 2, and I don't remember. He probably didn't know that. And so at that point, I think maybe even it was probably me. I was like, "Let's go play some more songs," because that's drunk Josh. Come on, you guys, let's go play some songs. And we got up on stage and did. We did.
Most of a center set.
No, we did. What's the name of that song? It's the song that Cheech and Chong played at the very end of Up in Smoke.
Earache my eye.
Earache in my eye. Thank you, sir. Which I don't think is even mentioned in the lyrics of the song. Maybe it is. If it is, it's not a lyric I sang that night.
Corn covered it.
That's how you know it? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thanks, Joey.
oh gosh. Okay. Yeah, so there are photos of us and they're pretty funny. I also remember that Clint printed the lyrics out on not a sheet of paper, but something that was like perforated. And so then he folded it and then it just kind of fell apart.
It was pop paper. It was pop paper from the store.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay. Okay, all right. Well, that's it for Spooky Talk Show. We're out of funnies. We're gonna save the rest for next time when we do Tales from Guitar Center 2 with hopefully with Morgan and more. Special thanks to Blake and Joey for showing up. Wave again to everybody. And oh my gosh. Okay, so that's it, you guys. Wade says he'll be on and. He's trying to tell me all sorts of stuff, but that's okay. Wait, just come on the show next time. Jeez. All right, well, that's it for this week. Next week, I don't know. It'll be something. So until then, piss off.